Welcome back to the dojo, everybody. This is True Talk with TRUMOTION, where a couple of guys talk about how to make the world a better place. Hopefully you make your day a little bit better in the process. My name is Mark, followed by my co-host Stephen.
It's early.
It is early. We've got a special guest in the dojo today, hence why we're here a little earlier than normal, which you guys can't tell because...
Yeah, you'll be listening to this at the same time you listen to this any day.
Exactly, but we're here a few hours earlier than normal. Got here when it was dark. Now the sun is coming up, but we've got our good buddy Jay Gibson in the dojo today. Woo! Jay, how are you, buddy?
Doing all right. It is early.
Yeah, it is early. Well, first off, I mean, I don't know. Is this the first or second time you've been on the show? You may have been on like one of our first couple episodes.
One of the first.
Yeah.
I think we did a practice episode.
We did a practice episode with Jay, but first official time
director takes
on the podcast. But Jay, kind of give us a little bit of background about yourself in terms of like how you got into the art and like what you do and all that stuff. So, because I know you've been training for a very, very, very long time.
Oh, I started when I was like 6 years old, and it was interesting. I used to watch a lot of karate, kung fu movies when I was a kid with my dad. And interestingly enough, my older sister and younger sisters had always wanted to join these activities, and they would start and they would quit and they would start and they'd quit. And so when I wanted to start karate, my parents didn't want to get me involved in something just to have me quit. And so they made me start gymnastics, and I had to stick with it for at least 6 months before they would put me in something else like karate. So I had to commit to something for that long. And so I joined gymnastics for 6 months before starting karate, and I stuck with it for 6 months.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
well, you may want to pull your mic a little bit closer to your face.
Oh,
You
there
can
we
pull
go.
it towards you. There you go. So we can hear you better.
there we go.
All right. So 6 months in gymnastics. I didn't know you were
6 months in gymnastics.
You're like,
yeah.
You're like Marshawn Lynch when he was at the Super Bowl. I'm just here not to get fined. I'm just here to do karate.
Just here to do karate. Yeah. It did wonders for the flexibility and stuff. I don't remember much else other than that.
You mean you can't flip or nothing anymore?
No, we never got that far.
They teach that in the 7th month, I heard.
There you go. Yeah, that was the 7th month class.
Yeah, it was 7th month. So then they got me enrolled in karate, and they let me pick whatever I wanted to do. And I went to several different studios, and I finally picked one. And my dad was finally like, "Why'd you pick this one?" And I was like, "Because all of the other ones smelled like dirty old gym lockers."
This is probably very true.
Yes.
And you started in Taekwondo first, correct?
Taekwondo first, yes.
How long did you do that for?
I stayed with that for a long time. I must have been in it until I was almost 16. So 10 years.
Okay.
Got my 2nd degree black belt. I actually moved out of the state that I was taking Taekwondo in, and then kept going back to the state to test and continue to train out of state.
So you moved out of state, but you would drive back to your original dojo to test?
Yes. So I would record the curriculum, and then I would train out of state and then drive back to the state to train or to test.
I was going to say, how did you do the out-of-state stuff? This was before the adage of Zoom, by the way, people.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
This was VHS.
Yeah. The big old camcorders.
Yes.
You recorded everything on 8mm tapes.
So I would ask my instructors to let me record the next curriculum set, what was required, which was quite a bit from 1st degree to 2nd degree, because I had gotten my 1st degree while I was still there in the state. But there were stages, almost like going from white belt to black belt again.
Okay.
And so I actually had to test almost 8 more times before going from 1st
Did they
degree
give
to
you all those
2nd
stripes
degree.
on your belt?
Yeah, to get all the little stripes on my belt. before I could finally test for my second degree, and finally got my second degree. And that's when I decided to go into my second style, which was Kempo. And then trained in my second style all the way until I was almost a black belt. One of my greatest regrets is...
Yeah, you talked about that the other day.
Yeah, I was about 2 months away. I had already been invited to test for my black belt. The test was coming up and gave up. I went on my mission.
I was going to say, you went on... You had an obligation to go.
I had an obligation to go somewhere.
Where did you go on your mission?
To France.
France.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah, the one place they asked me where I didn't want to go, and there were 3 places I didn't want to go. I didn't want to stay stateside. I didn't want to go to France because I
You don't like French
failed
people?
French.
Oh.
No, I tried learning French like 3 times, and I failed the class 3 times.
Oh, no.
And then everybody I knew already spoke Spanish, so I didn't want to go somewhere Spanish speaking. So those were my 3 I don't want to go.
It's funny because that's like the second time I've heard of somebody not wanting to go somewhere, and that's exactly where they send them.
And
like Todd didn't want to go to the Philippines, and that's exactly where they sent him.
And then I went to France.
Yeah. So they're like, oh, you don't want to go somewhere? That's where you'll go.
That's where you're going.
Yeah.
It builds character.
Okay.
And
So you served your mission, then you came back.
So
and is that when you got into Kempo again with us, or
No, I actually ended up moving back to the same state where I took Taekwondo.
Okay.
So I actually got back into the Taekwondo for a little while. And they had evolved a little bit and introduced a few more intricacies. They had adapted in some
punching?
They had adapted in some like Kali stick, which is a screamistic fighting.
That's weird because you would not associate Taekwondo with
in close
stick fighting.
stick fighting.
Exactly. It's like the exact opposite.
Yeah, and some other weapons fighting, as well as some things like Aikido and
That makes sense though, because they Korea has like Hapkido, which is basically kind of the same thing, just different regions.
And they were just specialty courses for those who had already achieved their black belts.
Interesting. Okay.
So the main course was still the same, but then they had added in these additional
like the
courses
Ultra
for those.
Premium Plus courses.
Yeah. Once you've reached this level, now you could add these on.
Gotcha.
So I started taking those, and then moved out of state again, and that's when I decided.
Was that in Colorado?
That was in Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah. And then moved to Utah, and decided to try something totally new, and wasn't sure what to do, and was on my way to work. So I changed career fields completely, went into the medical field, and was catching a bus on my way to work, and the bus stop was outside of this studio, and it advertised a Kung Fu, Kempo, MMA mix. And I was like, and I was staring in the window, just kind of curious, and the instructor came out and was like, what you doing? Are you interested in learning martial arts?
Like, I know martial arts.
Well, I played it off as like, yeah, I've kind of thought about it here and there.
Was that in Riverton? Was that with Dave?
That was in Riverton
Oh,
with
wow.
Dave.
So Dave came out and talked to you, or was it Jesse?
Dave.
Dave? Okay.
Yeah, himself, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I've thought about it here and there. I've never really done much of it.
Such a liar. Because here's the truth. I remember, like, Dave had me teach his first lesson.
Oh,
He was a white belt. And they're like, yeah, we got a new adult coming in. Yeah, to
Says
show
he
him,
knows
like,
nothing.
kind of. They're like, yeah, he says he doesn't have much experience and this and that. And the second he started doing stuff, I was like,
He's a rigger.
He's such a liar. I went up to Dave and Jesse after the lesson. I was all like,
This guy knows
I
something.
go, he's done some training before. Like, there's no way he's never trained before. I go, he's doing crap like that takes a long time to do. Not necessarily the blocks, but like the movements, counter motion. Like he was snapping at the end, and I was all like, what the hell?
And the reason was I wanted to start off because it was a new style for me. I wanted to learn Kung Fu specifically because it was a new style for me. The Kempo I had known before.
Little did you know.
Little did I know.
Yeah.
But I wanted to learn something new and learn it from the basics, not jump ahead and miss the basics per se. And so played it off as if I didn't know what I was doing.
Which was a lie. He didn't know what he was doing.
Of course, I knew a little
I
bit.
went up to Dave after that lesson. I was like, dude, he is way too good for not having done any training before. And he goes, oh, I guess maybe he has. He said he hasn't. And I was like, well, he's lying. There's no way he hasn't done any training before. So no, that was like way back in, I think, 06.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right around there.
Yeah. No, it's funny because we technically do a little like Kung Fu type stuff, but we're not like a Kung Fu system per se, even though our technical name is Shaolin Kempo. I mean, so there is some elements of like the Chinese martial arts into it, but it's very heavily like Japanese in my opinion.
Yep.
But I mean, we do have some like traditional Kung Fu forms. And it's funny, we say Kung Fu, but technically Kung Fu is not a martial arts system.
What?
Yeah. No, so for people that are listening, Kung Fu is not a martial arts system.
Correct.
Kung Fu is a term of doing a skill well.
Yep.
That's what Kung Fu actually means.
Interesting.
So when everybody's like, oh, Kung Fu, I want to learn Kung Fu. Well, hell, any household you went to had its own version of quote-unquote Kung Fu.
Yes.
So...
And my idea of Kung Fu was those Shaolin monks, and they had those very flowing,
and that's
circular,
like your wushu,
Tai
Shaolin
Chi,
martial arts.
Shaolin,
There's like Hung Gar, where it's like very rooted and based. Like I think the Last Airbender cartoon was a great representation of like how certain movements moved like certain elements.
Yes.
And it was very well done. I mean, if you've never seen the cartoon, don't watch the Last Airbender movie.
Definitely not.
The series on Netflix wasn't half bad.
Yeah.
The series on Netflix wasn't half bad. It was way better. But each element had its own style of Chinese martial arts. So the Earth Benders were Hung Gar, very rooted, deep, like center to the rooted in the earth. Tai Chi was the water style. It's very relaxed, flowing, this and that. I believe the fire style was very northern Shaolin, I think, and I can't remember what they considered the air style or airbending.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That one I'm gonna have to look up, but it was very, very good.
Yeah,
representation.
every element had their distinct
exactly,
style.
and that's really what Asian martial arts are. Like the form, stature of the crane. It's very northern. It's like you're hopping from rock to rock. Hence, like the hopping motions.
Yes.
And then if you have like big wide stances, it was like Hung Gar, or if like you were on a boat, you have to big wide base to like not fall over.
Really?
Yeah. So that's kind of how they got their stuff. So.
And so I learned really quick, which with a lot of styles, having taken a lot of different styles, the basics are a lot the same.
Yeah, basics are basics. It's
blocks, kicks, punches. You start off
everybody
the same.
Calls them something a little different.
Something a little different.
But it's all the same stuff.
And even the forms or katas, as they're called in different different styles, are generally the same. They're pretty close.
Well, the pin-ons are that universal type form system. So if you do go to like an quote-unquote open tournament, you have some sort of basis of comparison.
Yep.
Now, they might be slightly different in how they like block or strike or whatever, but like the turns and the basis of the form is pretty close.
The feet patterns, the
Yep.
direction patterns, the way it's set up is all generally the same.
Yeah. Like I've got somebody I used to go to school with. They live in Florida now. Their daughter does Taekwondo. And she posted a video of her, daughter doing a form. And I was like, oh, that's pin on one. But they obviously call it something different. And it's slightly different. Like they added a couple more strikes or whatever. But I was like, oh, I know what that is. So it's pretty fun to kind of see other people doing something very similar.
Yeah, and
what you do.
the style I took was a Southern Korean Taekwondo, and they called it Chunji.
Chunji.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And it was almost step by step, punch by punch, block by block, the same as pin on one.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And so when they taught me, I picked it up
You're like,
almost instantly.
Oh, I know this.
Yeah, I was like, I
I
know
can
this
do
form.
this.
And they were like, what?
You're like, yeah, I learned it like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Okay.
So that obviously that's when I met Jay, was back in the Riverton school.
Yep.
When I was teaching with Dave Garvey and Jesse. So that's where I originally started teaching, and then we opened up South Jordan, and Jay was still teaching and working with Riverton for a while, and then they kind of went their separate ways a little bit. And then I don't remember when I ran back into you, but
Yeah.
I think it was around 16.
Yeah, 2015.
Yeah, 2015, 2016.
right in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Because you got your black belt in,
2009,
was it 9 or 10?
right around there. Yeah.
It was around 9 or 10. And it was funny because when you started coming back and training in South Jordan, like I was like, God, we got to get your second, man. You've been a first for like 5 years already.
So I had actually gotten asked to test for my seconds before I left the first time. So while I was still training with Dave.
Yeah.
And we parted ways. I decided to go into the medical field, and I kind of stopped training and didn't go for my second. And at the time, I had already gotten my second degree black belt. I had already almost gotten my first degree in another style. So the ranks past black belt just...
They weren't
didn't-
super appealing to
Yeah,
you.
they didn't interest me. It was
Yeah.
a matter of keeping up my skills that was what
Yeah.
was interesting to me. And so the second degree black belt, it just
Like wasn't a motivating factor for you.
Yeah.
Like, God, I got to get it.
I got it. Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't the driving factor anymore. And so yeah, then I came back a few years later, and then when
I was
you
like,
asked
hey,
me,
like
hey,
we
let's
should
go
really
for your
work on getting your
second.
second. He's like, okay.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, we're still working on it. So
Yeah, and then I've been asked a few more times.
yeah, I've asked him like 3 or 4 times, and then like one time you got hurt, and like I can't remember the other times. But one of these days we'll get you at second, and I'm with
Eventually.
you. I mean, the truth of the matter is like you have the skills to teach any rank.
Yeah.
Like you can teach anybody, and it's like at some point you have to understand that like that second degree material isn't for anybody else. It's for you to kind of keep your mind active in learning something new.
Yes.
That's really the main thing, because what really matters is your skill level,
yes.
not how many forms you have or how many techniques you have. I mean, that's good and well and all that stuff. But also at the same time, if you never have that ability to teach that to anybody, it doesn't really, the only thing that it's there for is for your own personal mind.
And that's kind of one thing that I learned taking the different styles is it kept it new and fresh and interesting because it was something to learn.
Yeah.
But the more I learned, the more I realized those basics
That's where it's
and
at.
the foundation,
Yep.
you could always learn more from that. And the more solid that you got those, the better you became at the art. And so the less I needed that advancement in belts
Yeah.
to get that drive.
Because there's
to
a
continue.
huge distinction between rank and skill.
Yes.
They should go hand in hand.
Yes.
Do they always? No. Do they do most of the time? Yeah, they do.
Yeah, especially when you're first starting, those two are synonymous of each other. They help drive and motivate you to keep going.
And I the one thing that I've noticed is as you get physically older in the art, you will have a greater understanding of it as opposed to physically being able to do it more. Like you'll still be able to do a whole bunch of stuff, but you won't have that flashy snap that you used to when you were in your 20s.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but your knowledge of what's going on is far greater when you get older than when you're in your 20s. I started to really, really understand the art when I started to lose my like physical abilities.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you can't rely on your athleticism anymore.
Oh, when I was 12 and 20 and 30, I could still drop into the splits and keep my leg up at head level and kick 4 or 5 times in a row before setting my leg down and stay in a sparring match for 5-10 minutes without, being winded. And that was all just pure physical.
Yeah, just
prowess.
physical. Yeah, exactly.
It didn't have anything to do with my skill at all. And then as I got older, I realized I had to rely more on my skill versus my physical prowess. You had to depend on what you knew and developed through those years to get you through.
It's funny because this applies to art and just life. You'd always hear that term, youth is wasted on the young. And like, I never understood it as a kid, but as I've gotten older, I'm like, God, they're so right.
Yep.
Like all these kids, like younger people with like just all the physical talents in the world, and they're just wasting them.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to say wasting them, but they're not using them to their full potential.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you've got people that can't physically do that stuff anymore, but yet they are far wiser and more knowledgeable and this and that, and they wish they could physically do that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And even in sparring, or I did a little bit of MMA, and when you're younger, I mean, you get hit in the stomach or hit in the head, and it doesn't even phase you. You just bounce right back. You're like, all right, where's the next one? And you don't worry as much about blocking or moving out of the way, or
because you healed and recovered so much faster.
Almost instantly, and you're like, all right, keep going. And then as you get older, you realize, oh, that's actually doing damage to the body.
Yeah.
And it was as a kid too. You just don't
power
internalize that. Yeah. You're just like, all
whatever,
right,
I'll be
keep going.
It hurt for like a couple hours. I'm good.
Yeah. And as an adult, you're like, no, that actually caused some damage
now
to
you
my
can
body.
Sneeze and throw your back out.
Yeah.
I joke with people. It's like you're one violent fart away from being paralyzed.
So now you have to actually be like, no, I've got to actually use what I've learned.
Yep.
I've got to move out of the way of that punch. I've got to block that punch or kick.
It was funny. A story about that on Sunday. Going to obviously tie the Eagles into here.
Oh, here we go.
Is on Sunday when the Eagles were playing the Commanders, which, by the way, they won. Go Birds.
Yeah.
One of the corners, his name's Quinyon Mitchell. He's a rookie. He hurt his shoulder in the game previously against the Rams. Like, he went out in, like, the first quarter. And then, obviously, he's playing a week later and just, like, throwing his shoulder into more people and tackling. And Tom Brady was the commentator, and he goes, to be in your 20s again. He goes, man, he damn near dislocated his shoulder last week, and now he's throwing his shoulder into people again like it's nothing. And he's like, I'd be out for like 2 months now. Minimum. But Jay, it's good to have you on the show, but we're going to move on with our program so we can get into our Liam's Facts.
Yeah.
This week, or last week's Liam's Facts, the question was, and since I don't think you've heard it, you can see if you can guess it. Who is the first president to be televised on TV?
Oh.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Wow. JFK?
Close. It was actually Franklin D. Roosevelt. Yes, FDR was the first president to be televised on TV. I guess that'd be the only way to
That
be
is
televised.
the answer,
but-
yes.
So, this week's question, obviously, leave a comment if you know the answer or email us at trutalktuesdays@gmail.com. It is, what is the name of the film in which Al Pacino played Tony Montana? Again, the question is, what is the name of the film in which Al Pacino played Tony Montana? Tune in next week for the answer, but let's pause for a word from our sponsor.
Ninjas in the house.
You check it, Dojo Vibes, got something to share. TRUMOTION merch shop, got that ninja flair. Shirts and hoodies, slick like Bruce Lee. Karate thread sharp like a kick to the knee. Custom names and colors like a lightsaber's glowing. You're the Jedi, watch how your style gon' flow. Scan that code, jump in, it's time to score. With gear so fresh, you'll be wanting more. TRUMOTION merch where the fit's on point. Dressing up clean like $1 billion joint. TRUMOTION, safe stacks like Bruce. Get your swag right, man, no excuse. From the mat to the street, stepping like Jan. Gear so fly like your own stunt man. Personalize it like your own Stark Tech. Karate gear tight like a chop to the neck. You name your colors like a comic book villain. Step in the light while you're laid back chillin'. Scan the code, it's your time to rise. With your motion gear, you'll take the prize. Your motion merch where the fit's on point. Dressing up clean like $1 billion joint. TRUMOTION, 10 safe stacks like Bruce. Get your swag right, man, no excuse. Yeah, TRUMOTION's the wave, call it the new rave. Get your gear, step up, now time to behave. Scan that code, the deal's too sweet. Karate swag's here, time to bring the heat.
Thank you, sponsor. All right. Next, moving on, is our top 5. Okay, this week's top 5 is top 5 desserts.
Desserts.
Top 5 deserts. Just
Top
kidding.
5
No,
deserts?
Desserts.
Oh.
All right, so Steven, what do you got for your top 5 deserts?
Oh, top 5 desserts.
Desserts.
Let's go with number 1, probably cheesecake.
Cheesecake.
I do
Oh,
enjoy
God,
it.
Yeah.
Number 2, it's cannolis
Cannolis.
made with the cheese
Yeah.
and not like the frosting.
No.
Number 3 is chocolate cake.
Chocolate cake. Now, are we talking chocolate inside and chocolate frosting, or
Yes.
white
That one.
inside and chocolate frosting?
Or are we talking like German chocolate cake?
That one.
German
that one.
chocolate cake. Okay.
All right.
I like most chocolate cakes.
Yeah.
Mostly, I can tell if it comes from a mix, but I'll still eat it. That's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine.
That's
Chocolate,
okay.
chocolate is chocolate. It's
Chocolate
pretty
is
good.
chocolate.
As long as it's not white chocolate.
Not if
Yeah.
you're from Europe.
Oh, man.
No.
White chocolate's the best chocolate.
No, it's not chocolate.
I was gonna say it's not even chocolate. It's yogurt.
Yeah.
Hey, don't spoil it for people.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh,
Come on.
spoiler.
White chocolate is my favorite. I'm not
Yeah.
dissing on it.
There
I'm
you
just
go.
saying it's not actual
All right.
chocolate.
So you got
All right.
cheesecake, chocolate cake,
Let's do cannolis. As I
cannolis,
said. Then we're going with lemon bars.
lemon bars.
Mhm.
Okay.
Lemon bars and
Like
then
the
ice cream.
tarts, ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any specific kind, or you just like any kind of ice cream?
Most
down
ice
there?
cream. I like butter pecan.
That's good. Yeah.
I like chocolate ice cream, vanilla ice cream. You know, all the ice
Yeah.
cream flavors. Mint.
All the
Mint.
ice cream.
I have a particularity with. I don't like the artificially green mint. I like the mint that's normally white with chocolate chips in it.
Gotcha. So you don't like the.
Because the other one's just too sweet.
Okay.
So like a sweet mint versus like a peppermint.
So you're a peppermint fan.
Peppermint. yeah.
Gotcha.
Runners up for my top 5 are going to be pies.
Pies.
Most pies.
Just
I like
pies.
all. I like all pies really.
Yeah.
And then after that, I don't know. I think
Yeah.
pies take up most of the runners up.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of pies.
And then fudge.
Fudge.
Fudge is really good.
Did you? Okay. It's gonna sound like I'm making this up, but I'm not. I'm not kidding. It's real. There is a store called Uranus,
I've seen it. Yeah.
and they make fudge.
Yep. And the best fudge comes from
I
Uranus.
don't
Yeah.
know if I would trust fudge.
And they make the funniest commercials. Like,
Yeah.
come get your fudge packed at Uranus, and yeah, the best fudge comes from Uranus, and I'm just like,
Best advertising.
these are
but,
great because I will never forget that.
I almost made a stop over Christmas.
Did
there.
you?
Yeah.
Where's it at again? Isn't
It's
it
in the
Kansas?
Midwest.
It's, I think it's in Kansas, right?
You almost made a stop at Uranus.
Yep.
Yep.
He
All right.
Stopped at Uranus.
And I think they even have shirts like that. Like, I stopped at Uranus on the strip. So,
That's
Jay, who
funny.
do you got for your top 5? Or what do you got for your top 5?
Ice cream actually is my
cream,
my
nice.
top.
Your number
yes.
1?
I'll stop summer, winter.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter when. Yeah. My second one, I'll say sleep. Yeah.
Your favorite. Hey, what do you want for dessert? A nap.
A nap. Yes.
nap.
My third favorite. I'd have to go with pies. I especially like the cream pies.
Okay, like a Boston cream pie, coconut, banana.
Boston cream pie would be my ultimate favorite, but like a banana or coconut cream pie would be my next.
Okay,
And then it would be like the apple or cherry or something
gotcha.
like
All right.
that. My fourth would be like an eclair.
Oh, nice.
Oh, eclairs are good. So
Yeah.
you're a cream guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, ice cream.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then my fifth favorite, that's getting tough there, would be dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate.
nice.
75% plus
Cocoa?
dark chocolate. Cocoa,
Okay.
yeah.
So you're like the bitter. You like the bitter chocolate.
I do. You just let it. So you have to eat it a certain way. You can't just munch on it like milk chocolate.
Okay.
You have to let it sit in your mouth and just kind of dissolve.
Interesting.
Because it coats your whole mouth and you get that chocolatey flavor, and then you just let it kind of sit there.
okay. So
yeah.
technical terms on how to
Learned
eat
something
chocolate.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you can't just munch on it or it's bitter. But if you let it sit in your mouth and dissolve, you get that nice chocolatey flavor. you know?
Nice. All right. Well, I've got cheesecake. You can't go wrong with cheesecake. That is the greatest creation ever made. And then my next two come from the same bakery.
Really?
Yes, and it's actually just down the street. It's called Schmidt's Pastry Cottage.
I've been there.
Oh my gosh, they make the best like cookies and cakes. In fact, I just ordered 20 Eagles football cookies from them for Super Bowl Sunday. But more specifically, the Schmidt's mint cookies.
Okay.
It's like a whoopie pie, but on the top they put like a chocolate coating and like a mint cream. They're oh my gosh, they're
Does
so
sound
good.
good.
Yeah, and then their cakes are top notch. Also, just like a white cake with like custard filling. Some
Like
of the
a
best.
Boston cream pie.
They probably do. They definitely have eclairs and like the Boston cream pie donuts.
All right.
So, and then walnut tart. It's a pie my mom makes every year for Thanksgiving.
Interesting.
It's super simple, but damn, it's good. And then ice cream as well. Yeah,
Nice.
it doesn't
Can't go
matter if
wrong
it's
with ice
winter,
cream.
summer. It's like ice cream, and I like Maya and I especially like it, and Jamin too, because Shannon really doesn't like to eat ice cream. So like if we have the opportunity to get ice cream, we're like going all for it.
There you
So-
go.
Now this one, it's an honorable mention, and I don't know if you could. I would classify it as a dessert, but you typically don't eat them for desserts.
Donuts.
Donuts.
I guessed it.
yeah. Donuts would be an interesting discussion on: are they a breakfast item or are they a dessert, item?
See, if
'Cause,
you went that way, I like chocolate croissants.
Okay.
Not that the croissant is chocolate, but when they put the chocolate in or on the croissant,
Yeah.
Those are
which
good.
is kind of that breakfasty,
Yeah.
but you've got that
Because
little
like pastries, like
sweetness.
Danishes.
Yeah, it's
know,
kind of a
cheese
breakfast,
Danish, that's
kind of a
Yeah,
dessert.
like I really don't eat them outside of dessert or outside of breakfast.
we've
I should
just been-
say.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but it still has that dessert kind of
Just
flair
like
to it.
donuts. Like I don't think I've ever had donuts for dessert,
Yeah,
but yet I don't know how you cannot classify them as a dessert.
Right.
true.
So, hot topic: are donuts a dessert or just a breakfast item?
Yeah.
So, leave your comments down But let us know what you think of our top 5 if we missed anything, which obviously we always do. But let us know. And moving on to our Ask a Sensei. All right, this week we got a couple of some fun questions. I mean, interested to hear what some of the responses are going to be from these. But question number 1, what is the weirdest thing you collect?
What?
Are you guys big collectors?
Wow.
What?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously make it child appropriate. So no super weird things. But what would be the weirdest thing you collect? I collect a lot of stuff, to be honest with you. Like I collect hats, I collect figurines, like I got a whole bunch of Naruto. And
What's your
superhero
enthusiasm
stuff.
level for collecting these things? Do you like bid against other people for them?
Sometimes,
Do
yeah.
you like go to do you hunt for them?
I truthfully, I don't think I really hunt for anything.
Okay.
It's like if I see it,
It's
it's like, oh, I
see
gotta
it,
get
get
it. Yeah, I gotta get it.
Okay.
There's very few things that I'll like, quote unquote, like hunt for.
Interesting.
But yeah, I collect honestly too many things.
Okay.
Yeah, but like hats, figure, like anime, superhero, collectibles, knives. That's probably weird. I collect
weird.
knives. Jordans.
Oh yeah.
I collect Jordans. So
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I collect kind of the basics: comics, coins, knives,
Oh nice.
and then I actually like collecting dragons and fairies.
okay.
Nice.
Just
Dragons
the
and
fantasy world
fairies.
kind of thing.
Do you have like miniatures or like
Figurines.
Figurines.
They
what
come
they're
in
called?
all different sizes, anywhere
Nice.
from 2 to 3 inches, all the way up to, I think my 2 biggest that I recently got was about a 2-foot tall dragon and a 2-foot tall fairy.
Oh wow.
They're steampunk,
of course.
and they match each other.
Nice.
Those are kind of the more odd.
What material are they made out of? Are they porcelain or
They're porcelain, yeah.
porcelain? Wow,
So they just sit
Okay.
up on a display shelf.
that's pretty cool.
Those probably the
I guess I kind of
oddest.
collect helmets too.
You do
Helmets?
collect
Yeah,
some
'cause
helmets,
there's
yeah.
some
No
up
way.
above
What's
the
up
gym.
there?
Yeah, we've got a Spartan helmet.
Yeah.
We've got Luke's X-wing helmet.
Yep.
Got a Bumblebee helmet / mask.
Mm-hmm.
We've got, what else is up there? We've got a samurai helmet. I've got the Iron Man helmet that you 3D printed for me
Yep.
at the house. Oh, yeah, I've got a few other things.
You have the whole head of Deadpool.
Yeah, I haven't.
True.
It's an animatronic Deadpool.
Oh, I thought it was the real one.
No, unfortunately, we can't. I don't know. Ryan Reynolds is getting in a little trouble right now.
Oh,
So
dear.
maybe people want to take his head off.
Ooh.
Yeah, that whole Blake Lively case, and
Ooh.
the more that's coming out about it, and the more Ryan's involved with it, it seems like
Uh-oh.
a little bout of jealousy. So
Oh,
yeah.
I do tend to collect blankets, but
Blankets?
not
Blankets.
actively. They just, I find one that's soft or looks
And all of a sudden,
comfortable,
next thing you know,
and
you're
all
like,
of a
God, I
sudden
got
I've
25 blankets in here.
exactly.
warm in here.
I've got
I'm
this
very
whole stack
cozy.
of like, how could I possibly use that many blankets? But
That's Shanna for sure. Shanna unintentionally collects blankets and like totes,
yes,
like the bag,
wow.
the bag totes.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm letting her.
I collect dice. I collect miniatures, like all different types,
Okay.
because I do wargaming with them.
Oh.
And with the invention of 3D printers, I don't really buy them anymore. I just
Yeah,
make
you just
them.
make 'em.
I just make them.
Yeah.
And then I paint them, and that takes a lot of work. So it's like time over money, really.
Yeah.
I used to collect knives. I used to collect glass bottles.
Oh,
I got rid
yeah.
of a lot of those because it's like I wasn't using them for anything. I had the idea of building terrariums out of like all these vintage whiskey bottles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something cool, but
Yeah.
I never got around to it, so they went the way of the trash.
Odd as that may be, I did have quite the collection of glass bottles of
I'm
all
not the only
sorts of
one.
No.
That-
So of different kinds of alcohol bottles or soda bottles
They make good
or
gifts too.
just random at garage sale bottles. And I had them all displayed just for their shape, sizes, colors, until the shelves that I had them on during that earthquake gave way, and almost all of them shattered to one degree or another.
Jay, I'm sorry.
That was the end of the bottle collection.
Yeah, I think it started with I got a bottle of Crystal Head vodka, and it comes in that skull.
Yes.
I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Then
I do have almost the full collection of the Crystal Head vodka
Really?
bottles.
Really?
I have the clear one,
Those are pretty dense
Onyx
bottles.
one, the Aurora one. I have both of the Chinese New Year ones. The Bone one.
Nice. Do you get the shot glasses too?
I don't have the shot glasses.
Oh, do you want
yet.
them?
Oh no, I have the little 4 set. Yes.
Oh, I've got the 2 set.
Did you know there is a giant one and a mini one that I have not yet collected?
Okay.
And then there is a special painted one, and I have not collected those yet.
Okay.
But
Nice.
Yeah, another thing we've started as a family is anytime we go anywhere, we always get a magnet, like a fridge magnet from where we're going.
yeah.
And Jamin started this, and we've just kind of kept the trend going. One year we went to Disneyland, and we always let the kids all right, what souvenir do you want to buy? We'll buy them a souvenir. And he picked a bottle opener from the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Of course.
And we're like,
Hope that's the only place they sell bottle openers there.
no.
No, they can sell them at Mickey
Yeah.
Mouse Clubhouse too.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But we're like, are you sure that you want a bottle opener
opener?
from Disneyland? He goes, yeah, I want a bottle opener. We're like, are you sure? He goes, yeah. So now everywhere we go, we buy a bottle opener from that place too. So our fridge, and they're
Nice.
usually like magnet bottle openers.
Magnet and bottle.
So our
opener.
fridge is
Nice.
full of like bottle openers and like places that we've been to. So
That is an unusual collection.
yeah.
Wow.
And I guess like I would say I collect like survival stuff. I mean, I don't know that I wouldn't call
doesn't?
that like a collection. That's more of just like a preparedness thing.
Right.
So, and Shannon would probably say I collect flashlights. But again, I consider that like a
I think that's just a
preparedness.
bright idea.
It is a bright idea. Definitely not. So, but yeah, I think those. I love to kind of hear what people like, quote unquote, what they think is
You
weird
learned something
or
about
not
people.
weird
Yeah.
by what they collect.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I guess you could say I collect movies too.
You
I
have
used
a
to have
bunch.
like a physical, like
Movie
actual
collection.
discs.
Mm-hmm.
Now everything's just digital, which is good and bad because then you don't have to like go. Like I can just literally log on and be like, oh look, buy, and then you have it, as opposed to like go to the store and pick it up, and then it takes space.
Right.
So, but I've gone through like the DVDs, the Blu-rays. My dad had a huge VHS collection.
Yes.
So I didn't have to do that necessarily, but and that I think is a family trait because my grandpa's like that too. Like he has got rooms filled with like movies.
Have a
and
whole archive or something.
kind of, and he's even got like every college game televised, football,
Wow.
PGA, and now he's gotten smarter and like transferred all of them to like a disc, like a CD. So now he's just got like thousands of
of
CDs and
Huh.
PGA Tour events. And when
Wow.
Shanna went to go meet him for the first time a few years ago, she goes, "Hey, just by chance, do you have the 2008 Sugar Bowl with Utah versus Alabama?" And he goes, "As a matter of fact, I do." And he like knows
do.
exactly where it is. He's like,
Collated
"It's right
all of
here."
them.
Got it.
So that I could dare say is a family trait.
That's funny.
That
That's
and the
fun.
flashlight thing, because my grandpa would always collect flashlights.
Interesting.
That I think has a little bit more deeper meaning than he will ever admit. He would always say, because we'd always ask him, like, "Grandpa, why is there flashlights literally everywhere?" Well, because he lived in Miami at the time. He goes, "Well, we have a hurricane. We want to be able to have light." So
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh, that makes total sense."
Yeah.
But I think come to find out, he carries flashlights around with him because he's afraid of the dark. In terms of, he flew combat missions in Korea, and they were night raids. So I think the dark sends him back to a place that he doesn't like.
Strange fact, I'm afraid of the dark. But
Really?
to challenge myself, would force myself to hike in the
In the
mountains
dark?
in the
Whoa.
dark.
Wow.
So I'd go up without a headlamp or a flashlight and pick a trail in the mountains and just
Pretty intense. It's a
Head
good way to
on
get
up.
you
Wow.
lost and killed.
Yeah. not necessarily the smartest, especially since I didn't tell anyone where I was going.
Yeah, that's
but
even worse.
That's fine. No one will.
no, not a recommendation for anyone,
Yeah.
by the way.
Disclaimer, don't do
Disclaimer.
that.
Yeah, don't do that.
All right, moving on to our next question is, what is something that is popular now, but we will all probably be embarrassed years from now?
Wow, somebody else is going to have to start that one.
Oh, popular now, but embarrassed years from now.
I'm personally gonna
What are you gonna say?
like all the like TikTok trends, like the
they're
TikTok
trends.
dances, where you see like
I think
people like dancing and like and then you're like, what in the hell are they doing? But they're just doing
Mm.
a something for TikTok. So I think all the social media like videos and like you said, trends, I think years from now people are gonna be like, oh God, I can't believe we did
I
that.
can't believe they have a video doing this.
Yeah, I
Well-
mean,
Out
thank
there.
God. Like, I know you're a little bit younger than Jay and I. Thank God they
Wow.
didn't have like
Pull me out.
these video recording devices readily available when we were kids.
Yeah. Would've done
Well,
some
if we look
crazy
back,
stuff.
just any kind of technology always goes out of style. Because, I mean, if we look back to the original, a pager, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the coolest thing to have
Oh,
this
if you had
little box,
a pager, you were either rich or a drug dealer.
Ooh.
or the coolest kid on the block. 'Cause
Yeah.
you'd get this little beep, and it was just this little box, and it would tell you that somebody called, but
That you need to
didn't-
call them back.
You needed to call them back, but we didn't have cell phones, so you'd have to go find a payphone or a landline, which is a phone connected to a
those?
wall.
Yeah, and most of the
just
time
to
they had
call 'em
cords
back.
on them.
No way.
And that was only assuming they were sitting at a phone connected to a wall to get a hold of them in the first place.
Yeah, it was the crude version of a text.
Yes.
And then there was cell phones that were these flip phones, or
I
just
remember
these
the first
blocks
phone was this giant block.
Oh,
with
wow.
a big, huge antenna.
Yeah, and it weighed probably like 4 pounds, maybe.
yeah, it was
It was
heavy.
enormous.
And then as far as social media, there's been MySpace, and then when Facebook first came out, it
Vine.
was just games.
Yeah.
There
I
was no
remember that.
pictures and other things. So I think all the technology stuff is going to evolve to the point, even TikTok.
Yeah,
and
I
stuff,
think a
that-
lot of the videos that are being made now, in 10 years, people are going to look at them and be like, you guys are idiots.
Yeah,
Wow.
what was all this hype about?
Yeah. Exactly. Or a lot of the slang terms.
Oh, for sure.
Granted, those will always kind of come and go.
They'll just be different ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, rad.
Oh, rad.
Like, I think
Tubular.
I think
Tubular.
rad will never die. Be like, that's rad.
Yeah, of course.
That'll never die.
Radical,
course.
radical,
Yeah,
radical.
Like
It
Ninja
just
Turtle
has
stuff.
a different meaning now.
Yeah, exactly. But oh God, one of the terms that I cannot stand that kids are using, and the students use it here, and I tell them to shut up every time,
Bet.
is not necessarily that, but cook.
Oh,
Oh, cook. I was like, shut up. Like, okay, so there's two different versions. If you just say cook, let him cook, like he's doing well, or like he's doing good.
Give them a chance.
If you're cooked, like, oh, you're cooked, you're done. That
Wow.
one I understand.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you're done.
Yeah.
You're cooked.
You're cooked. Game
Like,
over, buddy.
I get that one. That one, not
Game
so
over,
bad.
man.
But, oh, he's cooking. What? Is he making it as dessert for somebody? Shut up.
stick a fork in it.
Yeah. Or a little bit of like, let's go. Like, let's go. I remember the kids would get so irritated with me. Every time they said, I'd be like, where?
No,
Like,
you don't understand.
What? I was like, we said, let's go. I said, where? You just don't understand. It's like, no, you don't understand. You're being stupid. speak normal words.
I tried watching a YouTube video with all the new slang, and it was I didn't get it.
They're like, I don't understand.
It hurts in my ears.
Speak English, please.
I don't know. I think in 20 years it might be just people talking around a podcast that were like, "Oh wow, 20 years ago that was embarrassing."
Yeah,
Just kidding.
yeah. Podcasts are going to be embarrassing in 10 years.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, man, you guys actually just talk to nobody.
Wait, you guys?
No, we had people around that we talked
don't
to.
have-
Just other people listened with us, not around
They
us.
listened at their own time when it was
Exactly.
convenient for them.
Exactly. Yeah, podcasts may be something that we're like, oh God, I can't believe we did that.
I can't believe we did
But
that.
I think they've been around for
Yeah, podcasts have lasted for a while.
yeah.
It's
Kevin Smith was one of the first big ones to get into the podcasting scene.
TED
then
Talks
Joe Rogan and-
some other thing. Joe
Yeah.
Rogan.
Because I think he's on like his 2500th episode or something.
Wow.
Yeah, they've been
good for him.
They've been around for a minute.
Yeah. But let us know what you guys think might be a trend or what's popular now that won't be later on. I don't even want to say clothing because that's just such a seasonal
It comes
thing.
in cycles.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The 70s and 80s are kind of making.
But yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you notice that trends will come back.
Yep.
Like, I never thought that we would see like neon again,
Oh yeah.
but neon was making a comeback for a while, or
Whoa.
like mullets. Who in the hell thought mullets would be a good idea
Let's
to bring
bring them
back?
back.
Mohawks.
Mohawks?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there we
who
go.
wears mohawks?
For those of us on audio, Jay usually
Jay
wears
has
a
a mohawk.
mohawk.
But mullets. Mullets.
I would have
seriously?
never guessed
That would-
mullets.
Mullets.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The business in the front, party in the back.
That's so
Like,
gross.
come on. They're
That surprised me. That's for sure.
now maybe 1 out of 10 people can actually pull off a mullet. Most people cannot.
Don't give your kids mullets.
No.
Yeah.
Please, if they're like, Dad, I want a mullet, say no.
Just got buzz all their hair off.
Yeah. Be like,
Yeah.
I'm growing.
Here, let me get that for you.
I'm raising a man. So, all right. Moving on to the next question. This one will be interesting.
Oh wow, you said that
Yeah.
about the last two.
I think all three of them have been interesting, to be honest with you. What's an Olympic sport that doesn't exist but should?
Axe throwing.
Axe throwing.
Ooh, that is
Okay.
an interesting one.
That's a pretty good, or like knife or axe throwing.
Oh, pass the axes.
Because they have an axe throwing league.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but is it in the Olympics?
Nope.
Has China like developed all the science behind it and like scores every single time?
Yeah. Or robots to throw the axe
Yeah.
for you. Now, I like the Olympics. I think they're fun. But have you ever noticed a guy online does a very good parody about it? I believe it's JP Sears.
Yep.
Oh, he goes, haven't you ever noticed Olympic events are events nobody cares about? Unless it's the Olympics.
Yeah.
Like, nobody cares about the decathlon or, like,
I
the
don't think
shot
I've-
put.
I don't think
or-
I've seen an Olympic basketball game, but I've just seen America win
Yeah.
most of the time.
I'd have to say if you went back to that though, it was always like feats of strength. And
Yeah. The original premise is very sound. It's like,
Wrestling and
So-
who could dominate
tires,
physically over the
things
other
like that.
people.
So going back to that and something that has just kind of emerged was the is the medieval fighting with the full armor.
Oh,
yeah.
Mail.
Gotcha.
and broadsword.
Like medieval MMA.
Yeah. I would
That'd be
I would
real
actually
fun.
watch that.
They
And
actually have
every
those.
country has
Well-
to have armor from their country.
Yeah. And they have those, but not in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would watch
exactly.
that in the Olympics.
Like, I've seen videos of that where dudes are like roundhouse kicking people in the head wearing full
Wearing
plate
plate.
armor.
full
Yeah.
plate armor.
I've seen that.
And
yeah.
I'm like, how?
That's a really good idea.
That is a very
and
impressive
broadswords hitting each
physical
other with
feat.
shields and sword and
getting
yeah,
whacked with
that
the-
would
with
be
the
a
hammer.
feat.
the people that always do well are the people with the war hammers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
just knock
that's
them
why I'm
out.
like, I love swords. I think they're cool, but like, I would
Or a
totally grab a
warhammer.
warhammer or a mace.
yeah.
Like, we have a mace in the armory in the back.
Oh, it's brutal looking.
Oh, it will be brutal. Like, those points are sharp. I was
Yeah.
like, holy crap! They actually sold this to people.
I would tune in to the
Like,
Olympics
they gave me this thing.
specifically for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would mess you up. Yeah, or like darts. Darts isn't an Olympic sport.
Lawn darts?
Like
Oh, those darts.
Cornhole.
Cornhole.
Cornhole should be an
Oh.
Olympic sport.
There you go.
Yeah. I think they should get rid of fencing. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Aggressive touching.
Well, yes.
Poking.
Olympic fencing.
Olympic
like if they were
fencing.
like the chances of like blood being drawn, I might be more involved.
Use the sabers instead of the foils.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Like
Ooh.
oh, lunge, dead.
But that's the
Oh.
same as like their karate sparring. It's point sparring, which is kind of lame.
Did they took karate out again?
Oh,
didn't
did they take
I don't
it
know.
I saw
because they
some
had it.
judo. I saw
They have judo.
Yeah.
They have judo and Olympic taekwondo, which I'm not bashing taekwondo, but Olympic taekwondo is not fun to watch.
Yeah, no, if because it's more like point sparring. Oh, I just barely touched them.
No, and their hands are down by their side. They're just they're hopping
yeah,
and they're like running into each other with their hands down because they're not allowed to use their hands.
exactly.
They can only kick you.
Now, if it was more a mix of like an MMA,
MMA should be an Olympic sport.
yeah, where they actually have to go in and submit the other person, that I'd tune
Like
into.
Olympic judo, freaking awesome.
Oh yeah,
Because like the way you win is by throwing them on the ground.
yeah.
Like, yeah, I could
Sumo
get down
wrestling.
with that. Sumo wrestling, okay, I
Yeah.
could be down with that. I saw a video of a judo practitioner getting into sumo wrestling,
Yeah.
and he was just destroying people like 80 pounds heavier than him.
Really?
Wow.
Oh yeah, because they would like run him, and he would like jump out of the way,
Be like,
or he'd grab and like do a
Manipulate their
judo
weight,
throw
yeah.
on them and actually throw them. I was like, damn.
yeah,
All right. Sumo wrestling, I think that'd be a cool one.
yeah.
Or lawn darts, maybe.
Oh, have you seen the slapping one?
Oh, power
Oh,
slap.
Power slap.
Oh, power slap in
Yeah.
the Olympics. Oh,
That was-
please. Okay, Olympic committee, please
Power
install power
slap.
slap as an
You're
Olympic
listening.
sport.
Oh man.
My country can slap the shit out of the other country. Literally. Pow!
And America slaps the shit
America
out
wins.
of.
America slaps back. There you go. Oh man, please power slapping the Olympics.
That's a good idea.
But let us know if what kind of weird, obscure Olympic sport you would like to see. There's a lot of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, axe throwing's good. Power slap, sumo, darts, lawn darts,
Medieval.
cornhole, medieval fighting. That'd be neat. And like having each country represent their own ancient armor.
and weapons.
Some
And then you would be able to
Some
see
countries
which
don't
one
have
was
armor.
the best.
Yeah.
Which ancient armor? Because obviously, like we do fights, we like to do fight scenes, like a samurai versus a knight.
Oh yeah.
That'd be so cool.
That would be badass, actually. So, but moving on to our fight scene. All right, this week's fight scene we always like to do hypothetical fight scenes every week too. Speaking of the Olympic sport, this week is Gandalf the Grey versus Emperor Palpatine.
Oh.
Yeah. So how we do it is we do 3 rounds. We do 1 round in each person's home field,
Okay.
and then we do our final round in the cage, no powers, just hand to hand.
Okay.
Okay. So round 1, we've got Gandalf the Grey versus Emperor Palpatine in Middle Earth.
Middle Earth. Powers?
Yeah, they have everything.
Okay. Now, okay. They have everything. Does Gandalf have his ring of power?
Yes. They have everything.
Gandalf.
Which is interesting. You say Gandalf. Does Gandalf has his ring of power? Nobody really knows that
That's interesting.
in the Lord of the Rings. Yeah, he actually is one
In
of
Lord of the
power
Rings, we don't know. In the Silmarillion,
Samarilyn.
yeah. It's hinted that he has the
So
ring
what
of
is-
fire, I believe.
okay.
Yeah, well, and even the Ring of Power movies are starting to hint at him getting
one of the three rings.
one of the 3 elven rings.
Yes.
Because right now it was Elrond, Galadriel, and then I think in the Ring of Power series, it's that leader guy. I can't
Yeah,
remember
so
his
then
name.
there's the other elven one. But
Yeah.
in the Silmarillion, eventually
Yeah, I was going to say, I
it
think
gets
eventually
passed
Gandalf
to Gandalf
gets the ring in the series. Because
as,
right now
as a
Gandalf
guardian.
is in his infancy and like trying to figure out magic and this and that.
Yeah, this is post Sauron.
This is way
This is
before Lord of
Gandalf
Rings.
the Grey. This is
Gandalf the Grey,
Oh,
like
Gandalf
middle
the Grey, not Gandalf the White. So
right.
then he does not have his ring yet.
No.
So, ooh.
I'm giving it to Gandalf the Grey. I think he can beat the Emperor on his own home turf.
Since it's in Middle Earth, I am going to give the nod to Gandalf the Grey also. Honestly, specifically only for that reason.
Really?
Because Palpatine's got a lightsaber.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's a huge, like, equalizer. But since it's in Middle Earth, Gandalf will know the terrain. He'll be able to use the terrain and kind of, like, nullify his lightsaber, so to speak.
See, and I'm going, if it's Gandalf the Grey, not White, and he doesn't have his ring of power, I'm going to go with Palpatine only because if we're going like Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, the only powers we see him really using are he can kind of disappear and appear occasionally. We see him calling forth winds and things like that. Palpatine's got some freaking lightning, and he can use his lightsaber and throw it around and use the
one thing that
force.
would
And
make me want to lean towards Palpatine is that scene, and I believe it's the Fellowship when he's fighting Sauron,
yes, and he knocks him around with his
and he like
staff.
spins him around, and it's like, oh, that looks like he's using the Force and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So, but I'm still giving it to Gandalf just for the fact that it's in Middle Earth. He knows the terrain, but I would not be surprised or argue too hard if Palpatine won too,
Palpatine won.
because he does have the Force. He can shoot lightning.
Yeah.
He's got a lightsaber.
Yeah.
So, but we got 2-1 Gandalf in Middle Earth. That being said, I feel like we all know what round 2 is going to be. We've got
On the Death Star? Or
we're in Coruscant.
Oh yeah,
Coruscant.
yeah, and that's the other
Coruscant.
thing is like young Palpatine
Yeah,
or
we're
like
talking, like-
Death Star old
No,
creepy
we're talking
Palpatine.
like in the Senate, Palpatine.
Oh yeah, and then Palpatine.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah, on Coruscant. So Gandalf would be completely out of his element.
Yeah.
yeah.
Too much technology. He can't use any of the terrain.
Yeah.
You know, Palpatine's got a lightsaber. So
Yeah, Palpatine.
Palpatine wins
Probably.
very handily, I think, in
Yeah.
round 2.
Yep.
Okay, so round 3, we've got
Cage match.
no powers, no lightsabers, cage fight in the ring, Coruscant Palpatine, Gandalf the Grey.
Gandalf.
Gandalf is going to
Gandalf.
whip the hell out of him.
He just is bigger,
He's tall.
brawnier.
He's tall, and he can take a beating, too.
Yeah, and he's brawnier and
Yeah,
just
I can see him just punching Palpatine
Palpatine's
right in the
got
face.
fresh lightning burns.
Yeah,
Palpatine
Exactly.
just reminds me of a computer nerd kind of.
yeah. Yep, I agree. But,
All right.
so I got 2-1 Gandalf the Grey.
Me too.
You've got 2-1 Palpatine.
Yep.
Yep. So that's good split. All right. Well, let us know who you feel like you would win. Now moving on to our joke of the week.
A joke.
All right. This week's joke of the week is my dad went into a car dealership and asked the salesman, cargo space? Salesman responded, car no do that, cargo road.
Oh.
So you had a funny one. What was that one?
Oh, what was that one? That's a good question. I won for the Super Bowl next week. Why does Patrick Mahomes wear 15 on his jersey?
Why?
So he knows how many yards he gets when you touch him.
That's right. Stupid Chiefs. I'm not a Chiefs fan.
Which is faster, hot or cold?
Can't remember what.
Hot, because you can always catch a cold.
That's
oh,
right.
That's funny.
That's right. We also had a funny one yesterday. I really thought this was funny. So
Yeah?
bonus joke of the week.
Bonus.
How did the hippie burn his tongue? He drank his coffee before it was cool. So that was our fun jokes of the week. Moving on to our shout out. All right, this week I'm going to shout out the Jay, you for spending your morning coming on the air with us.
Thank you.
And the 5-year dinner
Wow.
people, which includes both of you guys.
No way.
So tomorrow we have our 5-year dinner where we have all the students and some of their parents that have been training for 5 years come and have dinner with us. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. We're going to have a baby guessing game where people are going to bring a baby picture of themselves and people try to guess who they are. And I think we're going to have like jars of items and you try to guess how many are in there.
Really?
Yep. The winning person gets to keep that jar.
Oh, wow.
So we'll have
Hopefully
ones
it's
with
good
like
items.
M&Ms, some
nice.
change,
Oh, nice.
Skittles, probably gummy bears, something like that. So we'll have a couple of different
Nice.
things that you can try to guess
That's
to see how much
cool.
it is.
That's a cool idea.
I'm gonna bring the cards and I'm gonna suggest to Master Martin doing like a trivia game.
Okay.
So I'll talk to him tonight. We have our bow staff class tonight.
That's
so
right.
I'll talk to him tonight. So, but yeah, it's a ton of fun, and we got 5-year people coming out. So is there anybody personally you want to shout out?
I think I'm shouting out the students that keep showing up.
Yeah.
I'm shouting out James for getting his purple belt. I
Yeah,
know he
James,
was
good job on getting your purple belt,
overthinking
dude.
that one, but it's all right. It's all right. We all do.
Yeah, I
Helped
told him he
helped
suffers
him
from
get
the.
ready for
Yep,
that one.
yep,
But he
you spent a
definitely
couple of-
overthunk that.
He spent a couple of nights with them, and
Yeah.
I told him he suffers from the adult syndrome. I go, you overthink everything. Just
Yep.
relax. You're doing fine.
Yeah, he was doing great.
Yeah. But anybody you would personally like to shout out?
Sarah. Sarah's been fighting through all sorts of things.
Yep, Sarah's
and
unfortunately
yet
been
keeps-
dealing with some personal health issues.
and yet keeps pushing through it all and coming.
Yep.
And
This is true. That is a good one. I'm glad
Nice.
that you brought that up. So yeah, Sarah, way to keep fighting the fight, and man, we're gonna get you better. That's for sure.
Yep.
So, yeah, thanks for the 5-year people, James, Sarah, Jay. Good old shout outs. And then finally, we just kind of like to end the show with our final thoughts. Final thoughts are just anything you want to kind of leave the show with. We've just been typically leaving the program with making an impact. And what was the other one? Grit. Like having grit. But we always want to try to make a positive impact on somebody's life every day. Whether that's saying hello, smiling, telling somebody it's good to see them. But very, very rarely do we ever have somebody that we don't know personally say something nice about us.
That's
or say
right.
something, or be kind to us for no reason.
yeah,
You very rarely see that. So I know I've personally made a personal choice to be like, this is something I'm going to work on.
one thing that I would suggest is when you come up or pass somebody, make eye contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So often do we look down or look away when we pass somebody in the road or in the store or wherever. Make that effort to make eye contact with them
Yeah.
when you smile or
We'll
whatever.
just say, hi, how you doing?
Yeah,
Or if you know them, be like, hey, it's good to see you.
yeah, and even if
Give
you
him a
don't,
nod.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, because how many times do we hear, hey, it's good to see you?
yeah,
Not enough.
Like, even from our own personal family. It's like sometimes I forget to, like, tell the people I care the most about, be like, man, it's really good to see you today. How was your day?
It does people good to feel recognized.
Yeah. Or feel, I don't want to say important, but feel noticed.
Feel
Like
noticed.
you said, recognized. So, do your best to brighten somebody's day.
Brighten somebody's day.
Brighten somebody's day, make an impact on their life in a positive way, and have a great week, everybody. And we'll talk to you next week. And next week's episode, when you hear it, the Super Bowl will be over. So I will either be very happy or don't talk to me for a week.
Thanks
So,
for having me on.
yeah,
Thank
Jay.
you,
Thanks
Jay,
for
for
spending the
showing
morning
me
with
up.
us. And go out there and make an impact on somebody's day, everybody. Kick it with us next week,
Kick it with
everybody.
us next week. Bye, everyone.